Hey gang, it's Ronnie from RC Bassin, and we're out underneath the boat shed. Today we're going to do a walkthrough of my Bass Tracker Classic XL 2020. Okay, so here's my Bass Tracker 2020 Classic XL parked out underneath the boat shed. Bought this boat back in 2019 in November. Bass Pro Tracker Boat Center was still having their Black Friday sale. It was the last day of their holiday sale before Thanksgiving, before Christmas. And so I ordered the boat, and it was I received my boat by the end of month January. So only about 4 weeks total from the time I ordered the boat and put my deposit down until the time they called me and told me it was time to come pick it up. So all in, not a very long process. So I'm going to give you a quick walk through the boat, show you some of the things I've done to my Tracker Classic. And I can't say enough good things about this boat, especially for the price point. I got mine at $99.95, and it took the 50 horsepower upgrade. And so I think I end up financing, you know, 10.5, 10.6, something like that, before tax, title, shipping, and all that stuff. So not a bad deal on these boats. Definitely something you can get into without breaking your bank and putting yourself up, you know, over your limit. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the trailer. I did add the spare tire to the trailer. It did not come with a spare tire. I thought that was at least something, you know, Tracker could do, is throw in a spare tire. But I think I ordered it off of Amazon, put the spare tire bolt on there, the U-bolt, and fit in there no issue. So you do have to get yourself a spare if you get one of these boats. The great thing I love about this boat is this fold-away tongue. This is the first new boat I've owned. I've had a 1967 Sears Roebuck aluminum V-hull that I bought from a yard sale, flea market type deal for 250 bucks. Tried to modify it to make it a bass boat. That didn't work. Got too heavy, too unstable. Sold it, stripped it out, sold it. Got a 1986 Cheetah fiberglass tri-hull. That thing was a tank, man. Big heavy boat, and fished on it for a year or two. Got rid of it, then moved up to a 99 Tracker Pro 175. Had a two-stroke 75 horsepower engine on it. Nice boat, plenty of room, but just cold-natured. Started having a lot of problems, and so I sold that boat, and then I purchased this boat new from Tracker Boat Sales. Okay, so we'll go around the outside first, and then I'll jump up in the boat and show you some things that I've done. So this is the Minn Kota Edge. It came with a 45 horsepower trolling motor. I've used it for about a year. Did not want to sink a bunch of money into a higher end trolling motor, so I stuck with the Edge line, but I did upgrade to a 65 pound thrust 24 volt trolling motor. Gives me plenty of power for the lakes that I fish. Does give me a little bit of power in the wind, but you know, if you get into some strong winds, 20 plus mile an hour in this boat, you're going to be challenged to keep it on point with anything you put on it, I think. And then I also upgraded to the TH Marine cable handle. It was definitely worth the money to upgrade that. The rope pull was kind of difficult, even to raise the trolling motor up and lower it in, or pick it up out of the water. This helps a lot. And then just a quick pointer, excuse me, if you lube these with some marine grease, or I just sprayed WD-40 on them, you've got a latch up here, and then there's one down here as well, in this part. Let's see if you can see that down in there. But if you lube up those latches, that'll help you out a lot too. And then sometimes you just need to put a little pressure down on the trolling motor when you pull the handle. That'll help it unlatch and raise up. I added some rod straps in here from Bass Pro. These are just the Velcro ones, nothing high end, just to hold my rods in place. I do like to put my rods up on the deck, and you'll see here in a second what I did with a casting deck extension. We'll come back to that in a minute. We'll move on back here. These seats are really nice for the price point of this boat. I thought they were pretty comfortable, well made, and they fold down, and you've got plenty of storage underneath this one, and you've got storage underneath the driver's seat as well. Only thing I wish they would have done with these seats is put some kind of latch or strap system on here to kind of keep these closed down. When you're traveling, they do blow up. Not a real big deal, but you know, it would be nice to kind of keep those strapped down. Back here on this side, I put some rod strap holders back here for my co-angler, so they could put their rods down on the deck and keep them strapped down. And then back here, I mounted the micro power pole anchor system on the back. I did not drill through the transom. I went ahead and purchased this adapter so that I could clamp it on to the transom. You just got to play with it to get it over as far as you can, to get it out of the way of your boat motor when it turns, but you can do that. I managed to get mine completely out of the way. I have plenty of room in here for the motor to turn either direction, and I've not had any issues with that. And then I've seen guys, you know, put the full size power poles on the back. You know, those are nice, man, but they do get kind of pricey. So I settled for the micro power pole. I think I got the 10-foot anchor stick, so I can get in about 6 to 8 feet of water and anchor down. And when I pin down, usually that shallow, you know, it pins this boat down pretty well. You probably don't need much more than that. But those nice, if I had the cash, I would, and my wife wouldn't kill me, I'd put those full-size power poles on the back of mine as well. And then of course here's the 50 horse, and I'm still running the aluminum Black Max prop. I mean, for the price on this boat, this is a nice prop. I've seen folks put stainless on there. I have not ventured into that yet. Maybe eventually I will after I ding this one up. Hopefully not too soon. And then I forgot to mention, I did put on the bolt buckle straps. This boat comes with some buckles, but it has the latch you have to push down, and they're kind of janky. I mean, they're not great. And so these, of course, you can just pull down the latch, unbuckles, put it back down. When you're getting ready to trailer your boat, put it back up, ratchet it a couple times, and it's tight. So those are a time saver when you're getting ready to launch and you're trailering your boat. Makes it real easy. And then of course I've got a fish finder up in the front. It's a Garmin. You can tell by the transducer. I put that one on, and I put the block on the outside with some marine glue. I had a little overage there on the corners, but I didn't mess with it because it started looking worse. The more I messed with it, the worse it looked. So and I didn't drill any hose again into the transom, and I'm still running the factory Lowrance, the little hook kind of junky fish finder that came with the boat. Back here's for your lights. I do have a YOLO Tech, and I put it in here that way I can keep my GoPro running when I'm fishing. Hopefully bring you guys some more videos. Now look underneath here where the tanks and the batteries are and show you what I did. So back here's where your tanks and your batteries are. It comes with a 6-gallon tank, and of course I've got a third battery back in there. You can't see it. I mounted a tray and put that third battery in for my 24-volt trolling motor, and then I put a second tank on the other side. It's not a 6-gallon tank, it's a 3-gallon. I've run up and down the lake all day. I fish a lot of tournaments and different derbies with a veterans organization, and I've never had any problem with fuel on this boat. I got low one time, and that's why I added the 3-gallon tank, but I haven't had to use it yet this season. But what I do to keep the gas fresh, when I run out my 6-gallon tank, I'll fill it back up, but then I move the hose over to the 3-gallon, run that fuel out, and then come back to the 6-gallon tank, just to kind of keep that fuel fresh so that it doesn't get stale in there. Hold on one second, I'm going to switch back around to the other side. Now here's something different I did. A lot of people mount their battery charger down into the hole. I didn't. I just wanted to give myself more room to move around in there. And so I have mine mounted up here on the lid. Makes it really easy, like if you just want to raise your lid a little bit and peek under, kind of see what your battery status is and what it's doing. And really I just use two self-tapping stainless steel screws up here at the top, and then you can see the rivets here at the bottom from putting the hinge system on. It makes a perfect holder underneath. Let's see if you can see it there. Yeah, for the edge of the battery charger to kind of wedge in between those rivets and the lid, so it doesn't move at all. And it's the Pro Sport 20 Plus 3-bank charger, and looks like my battery system's in good shape. And looks like right now, yep, system check is good. Now back up to the front, like I said, I'm running a Garmin out here on a Scotty mount on a ram, and so I keep that one mounted out here so that I can see it when I'm driving the boat. And then my co-angler in the back, we can adjust it so the co-angler can see the fish finder as well. I kept the Lowrance hook that came with the boat on it. I just wasn't sure what I would put up there if I took it off, and I really don't have, my Garmin's not a great big unit, it's just middle of the road. And so I used the Lowrance hook that came with it for basically water temperature and depth. It's not much good for anything other than that. So when you look to purchase this boat, make sure you also consider upgrading your fish finder. I got a $400 gift card when I purchased my boat. It was part of their holiday special, and so I turned right around and invested in this Garmin and the Scotty mount because I knew I would want to upgrade that fish finder. And then down here I've got my power pole remote, so my up and down button for my power pole system. It comes with a lanyard too, and then you can order some foot switches for it as well for the up front. I have not purchased those yet. And then of course here's your driver's seat, and you've got storage under here also, and there's your fire extinguisher that comes with the boat. Okay, here's your live well on the boat. It's not very big. I think it's a 9-gallon live well. I've got some water still in there where I flushed it out after I came back from my last tournament. You can put 5 keepers in here. It gets a little cramped, but I've not had a fish die on me in 2 seasons now on this boat. And I've actually got some tips and tricks to share with you that I've picked up from some other anglers, fishing tournaments, to kind of help keep your fish healthy in your live well. And then this boat doesn't come with a recirculation or an aeration system in here. It's really just putting water in, and you've got an overflow valve at the top. And so as water flows out, when you overflow, you can put a little bit of fresh water back in. But I've got a trick for that too that I put on here that will help you maintain your fish while using this smaller live well. But again, I've had 5 fish in there. I've not had anything die on me in 2 years, or 2 seasons rather. And then I've got some more Bass Pro Special straps up here, rod straps, and then I run a Humminbird Helix up in the front on a ram mount. And so with this boat, it comes pre-wired for you to put another electronic piece up front. You got a hot and ground wire underneath this front panel, right? When I got this boat and I went to put my fish finder up here, I could not, the wires were not, I couldn't see them. So I wondered, did they forget to put them in? And there's just a small opening behind that panel. That's not open behind that panel. It's still metal underneath there, but there's a small opening up there in the center. And I mean, it's small. And so I could not see the wires. And finally I got a flashlight, and I had something on a flex handle flashlight, stuck it way down in there and started looking. And in about 45 minutes of looking and sweating myself to death, I finally found the wires, and I had to unwrap a metal clothes rack, and fish them out. So they were in there. They just forgot to pull them up where you could get to them easily before they closed the boat up. So if you do get one of these boats and you can't find your wires right away, they're probably in there. Okay, so that's all I've done on the outside of the boat. So let's climb up in the boat, and I'll give you a look at the inside, some of the things I've done in there. Now this is probably the single best thing I've done on this boat, is put in this deck extension. So you'd spin around in the front seat up there, and I also did change out the seat. I still have the original one that came with the boat, but I put a butt seat up there because most of the time I just need something to lean against, because I stand up almost the entire time I'm fishing and bass fishing, and sometimes I just need that seat to kind of rest my legs and back on, or just steady myself, just to lean back and rest against it. So I did change that out. And those seats that come with the boat are really nice, but they take up a lot of deck space up there and on the back for your co-angler. So you might want to think about getting one for the back also, but I haven't done that yet. On my deck extension, I put this in here. I saw a lot of folks who've built them. You know, there's a lot of guys on YouTube who have built these decks and put them in their trackers, and a lot of different designs and methods. I just started, you know, messing with it and came up with something that worked for me. When I originally built it, I just had, this was one solid piece. There was no hatches in it. And then, you know, I was fishing a tournament, had a co-angler on the boat, and I'll show you the storage in the back, but that was really the only tackle storage. So every time I would have to, you know, wanted to get in, change baits, or get something else out to fish with, my co-angler was having to lift up their feet or spin around or move to the back section of the boat on one side or the other so I could open it up. So I thought, man, this is a lot of space underneath this casting deck, and I ordered these heavy constructed hatches off of Amazon, and cut the hose and put them in there, and they really are a great addition to this boat. So let me open these up and show you some of the storage that's in there. You can see there's a ton of storage down in there. Got some extra line in there. All my tackle boxes are in there. I stuck a couple little battery operated LED lights in there, so if, you know, if it's dark out and you know, you needed some light down in there so you could see what was going on. And then over here you can see I covered up the rod holders over on the side. Back in here is where the rod tubes were on the side, and so I completely covered that up. When I first built this, I had the front open and the rod holder was still mounted here. I took that out so I could close this up, and I got the maximum amount of you know, deck extension I could on this back to bring it level right there, or even right there with the driver's console. And so that gave me maximum deck extension space. I lost the rod holder really, but honestly it wasn't that great. I mean, you know, it gets hot, it gets flimsy because it's basically rubber mounted on aluminum screwed to a rail in the boat, and then your rods would flop out or fall out or whatever. It wasn't a great setup. I mean, it worked, but it just wasn't a great setup. So I covered it up, and I just keep my rods on the front deck when I go fishing. And you know, the added storage and the casting deck space, well worth the trade-off. And then here's the other one. Opens the same way. I got my plastic spinner baits, terminal tackle, and I mean, it goes way back that way, up that way, over to the side. I mean, there's a lot of space in here, in these little underneath these hatches. And so up here is my, oh, just about whacked my head. Up here is my recessed trolling motor pedal tray. I put this in myself. You can go and pay Bass Pro to put them in, or Tracker to, you know, the marine shop or another boat shop to put them in, but it only took me about 30 minutes. Probably 15 minutes of that was, you know, worrying about cutting into the hull of the boat. There's nothing underneath there. As long as you stay a few inches, just a few inches back from here, you know, stay forward. You can see your base plate where your seat is. You know, don't come back too much further, because there is a cross beam in there. But this is fine. There's nothing underneath there. I did have to cut out, you know, in the foam for the drain elbow in the trolling motor, in the trolling recess tray. There's a drain there, so I did have to cut out a little section of foam underneath there to hook the elbow on the bottom of that, and then run the drain tube back underneath the deck. Other than that, that's really the only thing I had to do. I mean, once I started cutting, 10 minutes, the deck wood was out, the pan was in, you know, screwed it down, and I was done. And then I didn't want my pedal flopping around in there sliding, so I did tap a couple hose. There's 2 screw holes in the front, 1 in the back, and I kind of snugged it down so that it's not flopping and sliding around in there. Now back up here on the driver's console, you got a cup holder up here. I've got the drain plug in there. I bought this little phone mount off of Amazon. I run Navionics and Google Earth on my phone when I'm fishing. so that's handy to hold it. Over here you've got a couple of toggle switches. You got your nav lights and your anchor light, your bilge and aerator, of course your ignition switch. There's fuses in here. I always keep a couple extra glass fuses. That's what's in there, to keep those, if they ever blow, you can replace them. You got an RPM gauge. You got your horn, and then here's a fuse for that, and you got a 12-volt plug here. I have not used this. I just don't want to put the drain on my batteries, and then there's a fuse for that as well. I keep a lithium battery pack underneath the seat, and I use that to rapid charge my phone if I need to. I did put some LED lights in here. Got these from Amazon. They've just got double-sided tape. They just adheres right in here. I've had them on here for 2 seasons, and they still work. I've also got them on the other side. And so they put out a pretty good amount of light, and you can change the colors, make them flash and all that stuff. And then over here are the remotes. I've also got LED lights underneath the seats. I'll show you those in just a second. But one remote for the LED lights underneath the seat, and one for the LEDs on the rail. And I just stuck them on there with the 3M Velcro hangers, so you can just take them on and off easy without a big mess. The cool thing is, I did not splice into my wiring harness. These are battery operated, and so you just switch them on, use your remote to turn them on and off and change colors, and you don't have to worry about wiring them into the boat, or installing switches and stuff like that. I'm not an electrician. I just didn't want to mess with that. And then down here, let me move my life jacket out of the way. Down here are the little round LEDs, and I had to drill a small little hole inside the light. There's a little hole for a screw or a nail to mount them, and I just put a little a screw and a nut in there to hold them in place. And man, they work great. They light up the whole bottom of the boat. And I've got one underneath the back seat. I've got the seat out right now so I can show it to you. It fits right into one of the holes that was already molded into the seat, so I didn't have to drill anything. I just put it underneath there. It shines down nice underneath your feet. If you need to see early in the morning, you can turn them on LED white, and they're really bright. Okay, so let me show you the back storage hatch here. This thing is huge. I mean, you could almost lay down in it and hide. So I've got it locked. And like I said, I put all of my tackle up front, and it opened up a whole bunch of space. I've got a toolbox over here. I keep some basic tools and first aid kit in. That waterproof bag down there has got my 100-mile-an-hour suit in it. There's the poles for the seats, and then here's the throw cushion. But you can see all of this is now available for my co-angler to put their tackle in. So it really opened up a lot of space. And then one thing this boat doesn't have on it doesn't have a cooler. And so I struggled with what to do with not having a cooler. I've seen a lot of guys, build steps like this one. I just put a little small step here, but they've used coolers as steps and put, carpeted plywood on top of them and used them as steps to get up to the front deck, because that's about a 13.5-inch drop or step down. And so I just took some 2x4s and a piece of marine grade plywood, carpeted it, put it on here. It's got a couple holes in it because I messed around with how to set it up in here, but it's just to step up on, so you can step up on the casting deck. It's really no big deal. If it gets messed up or I need to replace it, I can just pull it out. And none of this is mounted to the boat. There's nothing in here that's permanently mounted to the boat. There's 6 screws. I can take the top off, 6 screws to take that front piece off. And then I can lift the whole frame out and set it out and take this boat right back to how it was when I bought it from Tracker, if I ever want to sell it or if I just want to take the stuff out. And then for the cooler solution, my daughter got me this Ozark Trail bag, I think for Father's Day or Christmas or something, I can't remember. But I just set it back here. It unzips and the top folds open. And I use this as my cooler because it, that front casting deck with the storage underneath just freed up a lot of space. And then, I like the stickers, so I just stickered up the lid. Okay, that about does it for my 2020 Bass Tracker Classic XL walkthrough. Hope you guys enjoyed, and hope there was some information in here you can use and give you some ideas for some mods on your boat. But till we get together again, make sure you hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave some comments below, or just reach out if you want to talk about modifications to your Tracker Classic, or if you have other questions about this boat because you're considering to get one. Stay safe on the water, take care, and tight lines, and hook 'em up.